Have you ever learned something about yourself from something that looked like it should have been somebody else's fault? That's what we're going to dig into today. I want to take you behind the scenes. It's a little bit of a vulnerable podcast, but I think it's going to be beneficial for someone because I want to share with you the lesson that I learned from a bank draft. Stay tuned, my friend. Welcome to another episode of Her Prosperous Journey. My name is Melanie Borbo, and I'm super excited to have you here. Let's dig in, my friend. What in the world can you learn from a bank draft? Well, in some cases, you can learn a lot. And that's what I wanted to share with you today because recently I made a big purchase. Now, I need to do a little bit of a backstory because the reason I have to use a bank draft is because for the last quite a few years, I've only ever used my Visa debit. So that means I can't get into trouble with credit, right? Because I did that once. The reason I'm going this way is because when I got out of college many years ago, I was given a credit card without even knowing what a credit card was. I had no idea. My mom had never had a credit card. I didn't know what credit was. And long story short, I got myself into a whole heap of trouble with that silly credit card because to me, it was just free money. I just thought I could just spend it and who cares when I have to pay it back? Well, we all know how that's going to go, right? So after I got myself out of that debt, all of that debt that I incurred from that stupid credit card, I vowed that I would never have one. And I would just I would just only use cash. Like the money that I had in my account, that's all I would use. And so that's what I've done for years. And, it's been fine. Like sometimes it's a little bit challenging to book hotel rooms and stuff, but somehow God always gets me through it and I've never had to have one. Well, then I want to make this big purchase, right? And so the problem is not getting the money. Like I have the money in my account, but I don't have a spending limit like that on my Visa debit card. Now, if you're not from Canada, I don't know if you guys have Visa debits. I'm not sure, but it's basically you use it as a Visa card, but it's only with the money that you have in your bank account. And so I wanted to use my Visa debit to make this purchase. And anyway, I found out that my credit limit could not be raised. I'm like, but this is my money. That's my money. And I am saying that I want to make the purchase. They wouldn't raise it. They said that that's as high as it goes. It was at the limit and it was way short of what I needed it to be. So my next option, when I had talked to this company, my next option was to send a bank draft to the company. And then that would be taken care of. Okay, this was like the 9th of January. It is now the 22nd of January, just to be clear. So I drive all the way to town to get this bank draft. I put it in express post, put it in the mail, like all should be well. It should be a done deal. Only to find out that we are still having trouble with this bank draft because I don't know if the bank on the other end whatever. They're trying to figure it out right now because they don't really know what's going on and I don't really know what's going on because anyway, whatever. That's not the point of this particular podcast, except that was the backstory that I needed to tell you what I learned. So what did I learn from that bank draft was that money mindset is really, really important because all these years I have survived or whatever with no credit card of my own. Now, if I would have checked my money mindset way back then, I would have realized it had nothing to do with the credit card that got me into trouble. It was the lack of knowledge that got me into trouble, right? So if I would have had someone tell me that, I could have had a credit card responsibly, I would have changed the way that I did a whole bunch of things probably. And things might have been a whole lot easier, right? So I say all that to say that when we are starting a business, we have to make sure that our mindset around money is healthy, that it's true, that it's responsible. Like we have to know what we think about money, what we think about credit, what we think about like all of those things. We have to get clear on what that is. And then we have to know if we're even telling ourselves the truth. Because as we build business, sometimes I'm learning that sometimes we do have to, use credit, or we do have to use other people's money, which I guess is credit, right? But you know what I mean? Like if it makes it way easier to run a business if we have the proper mindsets around money and around all of those things. So that was my first lesson, was that I had to get really clear. I still need to be really clear on what I think about money. Because, you know what, as a Christian, I have heard, and I'm sure if you've been anywhere near a Bible or a church, that the love of money that money is the root of all evil. But that is a scripture that is taken out of context. It is actually the love of money is the root of all evil. So what does that mean? That means that when we love money more than anything else, when we put money and the attainment of it above God, above our relationships, above our, health, whatever, that is idolatry. And that is a sin, right? To do that. But money in itself, just like this crazy credit card, is not the issue. It's just a tool. Money is simply just a tool to help us do the thing that we have been called to do, right? To live the way to live, to do whatever. Money is a tool, just like a hammer is a tool, just like a screwdriver is a tool. Like, unless you have a bad intention with those other tools, that's the only way they're going to hurt someone. On their own, if they're just sitting on the counter, there's nothing bad about it. But it's what we think about it. It's the priority that we put it in our lives. And so this is something that I've really just been working with lots with God is he's just really showing me to watch what I think about, to think about what I think about, right? Because many times we think about things that are not true, not right, not pure, not like all of these things. So that's my first lesson. My second lesson is, and the second thing that I've learned from this crazy bank draft is, this has been one obstacle after another. And like, not to mention that the product that I ordered, they shipped it, but it's now lost. That's lost. The money's lost because the bank draft is all weird. And so I was really struggling with this the other night because I was just thinking, oh my word, like how come this is so hard? How come this is dragging on so long? And maybe this is not where I'm supposed to be. Maybe I was not supposed to make this investment for my business. However, that is what the devil wants us to believe. The devil does not want us to step into any place that God has called us. He wants to keep us from that. And so this is what God has really put on my heart. So the other night I find out that this bank draft, which I had put so much care to get there as quick as I possibly could, they had said that there was some kind of a chargeback. Well, the thing about a bank draft is that is just like cash. So when that money came right out of my account and was sent directly to the company, so there should be no chargebacks. It didn't even make sense to me. I'm like, this does not make sense. That is cash. That is as good as cash. It's not like, the money wasn't there. They took it out when I bought the bank draft. And so for me to hear that this thing was still not done, I just got really, really discouraged. I was having trouble sleeping that night, and I just was feeling stressed, and I'm thinking, oh man, maybe I've made a mistake. Maybe this is not the right way to go. So in the morning when I get up, because I'm a big believer that I got to spend time with God in the morning before my day starts, right? So I'm up at 5:30 in the morning so that I have lots of time to spend with God, to work out, to do all the things and have breakfast before I actually head to my day job. Anyway, So the point to this was that I was really discouraged, and I took it to the Lord, and I said, you know what? Please guide me. Show me if I'm making a mistake. Show me if this is not the right direction for me. But you know what? God is so amazing. God he doesn't tell us, well, in a case like this, he's not going to say that this is not the right thing necessarily, as long as I do what I'm supposed to do with it. Right? If I buy it and I do nothing with it, yes, then it's a waste, and that's probably not the way to go. But in this particular case, as long as I'm going to do what I say that I'm going to do, and I'm going to build my business in the way that I have planned with this particular thing, then it's fine, right? But what all of a sudden, I just had this in the morning when I woke up, I after I'd been in the Bible a little bit and just with God a little bit, I just had this, all of a sudden, this fire burning in my soul. Just like, no, you know what? We have to persevere. When the enemy comes calling, when the doubt set in, when the obstacles show up, when all of these things that normally could stop us show up, we have to stand up and we have to fight. And the thing that I learned is that I have to be willing to fight for the life that I want, right? I have to be willing to do what I know that I have to do to push back the enemy to succeed in the way that God has called me to succeed. But we have to know who our enemy is, for starters. We have to know that the lies and the way that he uses lies, and we have to remember that God does not give us a spirit of fear. That comes only from the devil. God does not give us a spirit of fear. He says, I give you power and love and a sound mind. And that's how I felt coming out of my prayer time with God that morning. Was it's like I went in there feeling really deflated and discouraged and like I was totally on the wrong track. And I come out feeling bold and confident and knowing full well that this is the right path because there's so much opposition. It just was such a different feeling for me to go, okay, like normally that opposition, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm going to be totally transparent. That opposition usually can make me go, okay, this is not what God wants for me. I'm not doing this. I can't do this. It's not right. But when I look back now, I'm like, no, I bet you that's not it. I bet you more often than not, I needed to fight that. I needed to fight, have that fight in me, knowing full well that God is there. God goes before us and that he is the one that gives us power to get wealth. And so it's not on me. So I have to surrender my outcomes totally. I have to fully expect, right? I'm going to be content with whatever God says and whatever happens, but I'm also going to have full expectation of the promises that God has and that he's working through me and for me, right? And so that's what I wanted to leave you with is check your mindset. And the other thing is, be prepared to persevere. Be prepared to get in and get scrappy, right? Knowing full well that we are going to surrender to God's will, but yet we're not going to give up just because there's opposition, just because things are hard. So I hope this blesses you today, my friend. God just told me to be really transparent and vulnerable with you. And so I hope I did that. I hope I did that. And I mean, if I would love to hear if this has somehow blessed you, or if if this touched you at a moment in your life when you were about to give up, I would love to hear that stuff because that fuels me, right? Like that fuels me. And then that also just lets me know what kind of content you want on this podcast. So if that's you and you do have something that this podcast or any of the podcasts has touched you on some level, I would love, love, love to hear about it. You can drop me an email at melanie@buildingimpactmakers.com, or you can leave a review if, on Apple Podcasts, or I think Apple's the one that does the most reviews. But anyway, I hope this blesses you, my friend. And until next week, get in, get scrappy, and know that God goes before you and that he loves you and he wants you to stand up and make the impact that he has called you to make, my friend. Okay? All right. Take care. God bless. How much longer can you afford to wait before taking control of your time and finances? What would life look like with a passive income from an online business that you could build from anywhere? If you had the support and the resources to succeed, what kind of impact could you make for yourself and your family? On this podcast, you will find simple solutions to help you start and grow your own online business that will pay you daily, even when you are enjoying adventures with your loved ones. My mission is to equip you to be wealthy in both time and money with digital marketing skills, tips to overcome adversity, and steps to living out your purpose. If you are ready to say yes to a more rewarding and fulfilling life where you are making a bigger impact and transforming people's lives, then you're going to love this podcast. Hey, my name is Melanie. I'm a wife, a mother, and a blessed believer. I tried over the years many different side hustles to try and make a passive income and to live this life of freedom that everybody talks about. But what I finally realized is that I needed a step-by-step plan to keep me focused and consistent. I needed to link arms with others who were doing what I wanted to do. And now I'm excited to get to share with you what I'm learning. If you are ready to finally find freedom and own your own online business that helps you to never miss another family fun adventure and to make an impact while sitting on the beach, then this podcast is for you. So strap on your hiking boots and let's climb this mountain together.